Hello everyone, it's Jeff here, back with you this time with another contest video. This one is for my good buddy Andrews from Tales from the Crates 1,000 subscribers contest. That is a mighty achievement. Wow. So he's holding a contest, and I've been wanting to enter this for ever since he announced it, so I just haven't had time until today. And I tried to give this one a little more thought than I usually do because the theme of the contest is called Broad Strokes, and he just wants to see, because Andrew's like me. He likes a lot of variety in his listening, and even though everyone has their tendencies of what they like and what they lean towards, I like to at least try to stretch out my musical boundaries as much as I can, and that's kind of what he was asking in his contest. So to get one entry in the contest, you had to show 5 albums of different genres of music in your collection, and to get 2 entries, you had to show 10. So, of course, I'm going for 10. I have 10 records here from 10 different genres. The last one might be stretching it a little bit. I'll leave it up to you, Andrew, if you'll accept it or not. But I think it's an actual genre. Yeah, with all that said, I'm just going to jump right in and get to it. My first category is jazz. And as I've said before in many other videos from the past, jazz is a type of music that I like, but there's only a few artists that I've really delved into with any depth. That's something that I keep meaning to change, and I get a lot of great suggestions from other people that I watch their videos. I haven't been buying very many records for the past few months, so that actually changed yesterday, but I won a couple auctions. But I'm going with this album here. This is actually my current favorite jazz album. It's by Miles Davis, In a Silent Way. I know this probably isn't a very exotic pick, but the contest is Broad Strokes, so it's not like you have to give these exotic choices. So this is covering my jazz pick here. I've showed this album before. This record was actually the first one that I played on my new turntable, which is sitting right over there. And the first side of this album, which is basically just one long track called Shh/Peaceful. See that right there? Is probably one of my favorite pieces of music, not besides just being jazz, it'd be just music in general. Perfect album to listen to on headphones too. In a dark room, or maybe with the lights down low, and it puts you in that mood, puts you in that funky, weird mood. But it's such a quiet album that you have to have a very, very, very clean copy. Which, this is a reissue. It was a brand new. I bought it new. So it is. But, yeah, I'd imagine if there was any hint of noise or crackling or popping, it would really be distracting. But, yeah, I keep saying I want to delve more into jazz, and I'll get there, you know. Like I say, I've got so many records to work through. That's one of the reasons why I haven't really bought very many new records lately. The other's money. I just have to save money. So that's the way it is with everyone, right? This next one is going to cover country. And I just posted this morning on Facebook. It's called Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. And like I said in my Facebook post, and I already got several comments, people correcting me, saying that I don't really like country music, but I like Johnny Cash. And people keep saying, well, if you like Johnny Cash, then you like country music. Not really. Because probably 95% of country I can't stand. And I consider Johnny Cash almost like a genre unto himself. I mean, I know he's a country artist. This is a country album. But it doesn't sound like that same old twangy... I mean, he's got some of that in there, but a lot of it is acoustic playing and him singing. It's almost like a country folk album in a way. Back cover is just this picture. It opens up, and these aren't lyrics. This is like some kind of very long form poem. And I'd actually found this in a stack of records that my dad gave me years ago. And I never really paid attention to it until I pulled the record out and found that it was a 2i Columbia, mint condition. I mean, I gave it a light cleaning in the spin clean, and it sounds perfect. So, yeah, and I spun it this morning because I'm actually stealing this record from my next Spin Zone video. You'll be seeing another Johnny Cash record in the Spin Zone video to come. But I like this one so much that I wanted to include it as representing the country genre for this contest. So I like Johnny Cash. Like I said, he doesn't always sing that same old tear in my beer bullshit, you know? Oh, my truck broke down, my girl left me, and my dog died. No, he doesn't do that stuff. I can't stand that stuff. So, and this was a very pleasant album to listen to. I may even talk about this further in the next Spin Zone. We'll see. But I just wanted to show this as my country genre pick. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. In the blues category, I picked this album because I've shown every blues album that I own. I think there's probably one or two exceptions that I haven't played yet. But among the records that I've played that I haven't shown, and this is going to represent the blues category for me, is Robert Johnson. King of the Delta Blues Singers. This was a collection of, well, there's just liner notes on the back here. It's just a collection of Robert Johnson tracks, and they're all very short. They're all, you know, under 3 minutes. So when you talk about blues, I mean, Robert Johnson's one of the original blues guys. He's, you know, he's one of the original guys that made it popular back in the 30s. So it's a pleasant listen, sort of. I mean, it's very primitive and basic sounding, obviously, with the recording technology they had back then. But you can't deny Robert Johnson as one of the godfathers of modern music, really. So I don't think I've ever shown this one before, and I bought this when I was in high school because I really wanted to try to get to the roots of blues music and the people that were playing his songs, you know, from later. I just wanted to hear the original versions. So that's the reason why I bought this. And it's a great album to have. It should be in just about everyone's collection, just to hear the roots of where a lot of this music comes from. So Robert Johnson is representing the blues category for me, or the blues genre. Okay, number 4 is going to be alternative for me. And this album I've streamed or I've listened to on the computer or online many times. So I ended up liking it so much that I ended up buying a physical copy. I haven't actually spun this copy yet, but I know all the music that's on it. I'm probably going to play this one sooner than later. And it's Alice in Chains Unplugged. I know a lot of people, when they talk about, you know, the Unplugged series of albums, everyone always brings up Nirvana, which it's a great album, and I'll probably own a copy of that someday. But for my money, this one here is every bit as good as that Nirvana one. I mean, sometimes it's even a little bit I think it's a little bit better just because I like some of these songs better. It's got a very dark mood to it. And, you know, Alice in Chains songs aren't necessarily feel-good songs to begin with. But when I heard this, I just really liked it. It really grabbed me. So I wanted to own a physical copy of it. So this is what I got. So representing the alternative genre is Alice in Chains Unplugged. Okay. This next one is a little bit, I don't know if it's going to be a little bit of a cheat because it's going to be folk. It's going to be representing folk. And this artist was the reason that I joined the Vinyl Me Please record service. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And this ended up being the only record that I really liked from that service because I tried it for like 3 months just to get this album, which is Big Bill Broonzy Sings Folk Songs. The other 2 albums I ended up getting I didn't like, and I traded one of them already, and the other one is just kind of there. But anyway, even though I know Big Bill Broonzy is a blues singer, he recorded this folk album. Here's the track list. You can see this got reissued on the Folkways label, and it wasn't a fancy colored vinyl too, which is kind of unusual for Vinyl Me Please because usually they have all these strange colored vinyl releases for their records, but this was just a straight black vinyl one. And I really like this album. I mean, like I said, I'm not a huge folk music person, I guess, but I like this album. And Big Bill Broonzy's got obviously a very big, deep, powerful voice. And listening to him sing, you know, a lot of these songs like This Train or Bill Bailey or Alberta or Tell Me What Kind of Man Jesus Is, kind of lends it that extra, like, power, much more so than, like, your average folk singer. So, I know it's probably a little bit of a cheat, but it's a folk album, and Big Bill Broonzy Sings Folk Songs is my entry for the folk category. It's a great album. You guys should check this out. I really like this album. Okay, on to the next category, which is going to be punk. And for punk, I went with one of the classics, The Clash. It's The Clash's first album. It's probably their punkiest out of all their records. And how can you go wrong with The Clash, right? I mean, this is a killer album front to back. And I like these guys so much more than the Sex Pistols, even though I know the Sex Pistols get all of the credit for the punk explosion and this, that, and the other. For my money, it was The Clash that was where it's at as far as punk bands go. And I know as their career progressed, they kind of branched out into different areas, but if you're talking about just a straight punk album, I think you can't go wrong with the first album by The Clash. So they are representing the punk genre for my entry in this contest. Okay, where am I at? I got 4 more to go. Okay. Next up is soul. And for me, one of the greatest soul singers, one of the greatest singers, period, is the great Al Green. So Call Me is my representative for the soul genre. This is a great, great album. The title track is fantastic, of course. What else is on this album that's became a hit? Oh, Funny How Time Slips Away, I think, was another hit off this album. But really, front to back, You can't go wrong with Al Green. So when it comes to soul, he's one of the first guys I think of. So that was my first thought when I pulled this out of the collection to show for soul, is Al Green's Call Me. The next one is classic rock. And I tried to think of something like, what is the most classic of the classic rock albums to show for this genre. And I don't think you can go wrong with the Doobie Brothers. Best of the Doobies, for sure. I think when you think classic rock, these guys got to be right in the middle of it. So, and this album contains a lot of the early hits sung by Tom Johnson and a couple of the later Michael McDonald sung hits. So it kind of covers all the bases with the Doobies. If you're just a casual fan, this is really the only album you need by them. It's great. I mean, it's just classic rock. What can you really say about the Doobie Brothers, right? So this is my representative for the classic rock genre. Best of the Doobies. Okay, number 9. We are going to do a funk album here for the category of funk or genre. And who else can you possibly go with than Parliament? The Clones of Dr. Funkenstein. Ranked among their albums, I don't know how high this one goes. I mean, it's good. This particular copy is really kind of beat up. It doesn't play all that well. It's just kind of a placeholder copy for me. Someday I'd like to upgrade it. I found this at a half price. It's on the Casablanca label. And yeah, when you think of funk, Parliament and or Funkadelic, or Parliament Funkadelic, has got to be the top of the hill for this genre, I would say. So, and of course, this is the only album by them I've got. So, I didn't want to show Maggot Brain again because I just showed that one recently. So that's why I pulled this one, just to give it more variety. And not to repeat myself so many times. But this is actually a good album too. Like I said, I want a better condition copy of this one. But the Clones of Dr. Funkenstein is representing the funk genre for me. Okay, and for the final category, I'm not sure if this is an actual genre of music or not, but I went with pub rock. Kind of like, pub rock is kind of like a British, it's almost like British classic rock in a way. And Rockpile, whose only album that they ever put out is called Seconds of Pleasure, I think is a pretty good representative of this style of music. Because you've got Nick Lowe and you've got Dave Edmunds teamed up. And you've got, who else? Billy Bremner, I believe. And Terry Williams make up the rest of the band here. So, whenever I think of, like, the early, say, Stiff Records stable of artists, late 70s Brit rock, I guess you could say. It's called pub rock. So, I hope you'll accept this last genre, Andrew, as your for the contest. If not, just let me know and I'll make a short follow-up video and I'll pick a different genre. But like I said, I wanted to do something a little bit different, something with a little more variety than just your basic genres of music. So with this last one, I threw in pub rock, and Seconds of Pleasure is just a great album. Teacher Teacher is probably the one song that you might hear on the radio. Great song. If Sugar Was Sweet As You, that's a great one. When I Write the Book, that's another one. Play That Fast Thing One More Time, that's a great song. So this is a great album, and I think it represents the genre of pub rock pretty well. So there you have it. There's my 10 albums featuring 10 different genres of music in my collection. I like the idea of this contest, Andrew. It's a good idea that you came up with. And good luck to everyone who's entered. I've seen a ton of entries for this contest because I know I've seen the prize packages from Andrew's past contests, and it's just jaw-dropping. So whoever wins this, hopefully me, is going to get a stack of killer records. I just know it. So thanks for running this contest, Andrew. I love your channel, as you know. And I will see you guys next time. So until then, peace and take care.